Got it. Okay.
You're red, dude.
I know, I don't like it. It's driving me crazy. And there's bats flying around my head now. Awesome. Okay. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Talks with the Masters. This week, I am here with Robby Bast from Australia. One of my favorite people that I've ever met in carving. I've stayed with him at his house in Australia with his amazing family. And he is, won the Australian Open 3 out of the 5 years. He's one of the top carvers in the world. He's been to the Husky Cup. He placed in Chetwynd. He is amazing at detail, and I am so excited to have Robby here this week. And once again, my man, my best friend, my mentor, Chris Foltz. You know, he's won a few competitions. He's bossed me around. He's got a dog that barks, and
Thank you, Bentley.
So, Robby, tell me how you got started in the carving world.
Back 2003, I saw some guys at the Elmore Field Day, which is the town here in Victoria, that and there was a lumberjack show. So there was a guy just doing knocking out some, eagles and bears and, the usual, quick carve stuff. And I just looked at it and I went, I want to do that. So, I had a bit of a chat with him and he pointed me in the right direction. Then a buddy of mine who worked at a steel dealership, one of the mechanics, used to do some carving. I met Alan Ridley. He mentored me for a while. Met Eddie Freeman. He mentored me for a while. And it just, they introduced me to the other carvers here in Australia. And, then the rest is history.
So that brings me to a question that, here in the North America, we're like the kind of bears, eagles, owls. That's our bread and butter kind of deal. Is that kind of the same thing that happens to you in Australia, or are you really catering to the Australian animals that are out there, like the koalas and the wallabies and, like that, kangaroos? Are you doing a lot more of that type of animal, or?
It's funny. Like you said, it's bears and eagles, in North America, but here still eagles, wedge-tail eagles. I do a lot of wedge-tail eagles. A lot of I don't so much not a lot of people ask for koalas and kangaroos and that sort of thing. Do crocodiles,
Cool.
goannas, that sort of thing. Big water monitors and that sort of thing.
So you say
a lot of lizards, like, is that what those are?
Yeah.
The lizard, the goanna and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've posted some pictures so everybody's kind of seen what you've been talking about. I mean, your wedge-tail eagles are amazing. You got a new commission. What is going to be they want, say, like a massive wedge-tail or crocodile scene. What would be your first kind of, once you get size scale, what's your first planning move? Like, what are you going to move into?
I think the key is knowing exactly what they look like, and having that in your head or having those. I use a lot of reference pictures. Okay. I go crazy on reference pictures. So, I sit there for hours on Google Images and get that, I want to know what the toenails on a crocodile look like. I want to, does it have tiny little scales around its toes and then build up to larger scales, all that sort of stuff. Going to, say, the anatomy, muscle structure, how they move. Videos are really important in my book, seeing how something moves. You can get something, but if you don't get it dynamic, if it's not turned the way it should turn, then it's like having something with a broken neck or a broken arm. It doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So Robby, talking about, you're a pretty heavy competition carver, Robby.
Not so much anymore. I haven't really sort of been pushing it that much, especially not this year, obviously.
Do you think that in that competition set, when you were doing that a lot, I mean, it seemed like, I know we saw each other quite a bit over maybe 4 or 5 years. You were coming pretty regular, hitting the at least the West Coast scene. And I mean, did you see that was that a big push into inspiration when going out into that?
Oh, definitely. Look, I mean, I sit there and my first competition, like big proper international competition, was Chetwynd, and I'm this little Aussie guy. Well, I wasn't a little, but littler than I am now. Going in there and going like carving with my heroes, like these like crap. There's Jeff Samadowski and Ken Tynan and Ken Packey and Ken Braun and well, I rode up with you. And that was just crazy for me, like I'm riding through Canada with Foltz. It was mind blowing. But so I think that was like a big drive when I went to Chetwynd that first year and I did that crocodile. I just hammered the detail on that, just hammered and hammered and hammered. I remember, who was it? Why can't I think of his name? He was a judge from down in Malibu.
Steve Blanchard?
Steve Blanchard, thank you. What? He was, Anyway, but Blanchard's just standing there watching me, and I'm in this cloud of smoke with a die grinder putting all those scales down the side of the crocodile. And just, I did all that with, like eye tools, different size eye tools. And he's just sitting there, like, looking at me, just shaking his head.
You've done amazing when you've gone to competitions, and that goes to show. I mean, then the following year you came up to Chetwynd with me, and I bet you $100 that you wouldn't carve 2 tortoises having sex, and you took that $100, and it was awesome. I mean, the level of detail that went into those tortoises was unreal. It was such a cool thing. That is a really cool like thing that it's so nice to be able to go into something where you're going to give it your best, work your ass off, but at the same time you're loose enough and you're free enough that you're able to kind of just go with the flow, that's really cool. Like for me, it's like when I go to Chetwynd, I'm so nervous. I can't sleep. I get the shits, and you name it. I can't do nothing. I freak out the whole time. But okay, and we are back. So I was not subscribed to this Zoom. Now it's $20 a month. Now I'm subscribed. I've got the boys back, so it's a little bit different of a layout. So that's why it is, if anybody's questioning, and that's why it's dark. So in Australia, when I was there, we carved cypress. Now, how big do the cypress get where you are? I mean, we had pretty, 30, 40-inch logs. I've seen you do some pretty extravagant, big carvings. Are you doing a lot of joinery, or is it big? Is there big timber there?
No, there's big timber, but the only problem is when cypress gets big, you're like, we can have, like good sort of 6-foot diameter of some of the trees at the butt. But what happens is they get old and they get dry right in the center and a lot of bark inclusion. Cypress is notorious for, having bark inclusion. But yeah, so now if I want big stuff, I laminate.
Really?
Yeah, Jeff and I, Jeff Samadowski, when he was here for all the Australian Championships, he stayed on with Amy and we did a project together. And yeah, that was Diprotodon, which was the Australian megafauna wombat. So this thing was 6 foot at the shoulder, and probably about 10 feet long.
So what about, so tell me a bit about staying with Jeff. So you and Jeff stayed together for a month? I think I remember something like that. You were together for a month. So you guys laminated the wood together. Were you taking big timbers and milling them and then putting them together? And how were you doing that?
Well, we were doing these basically big posts, like 12 inches by 14 inches. You see, I can still do it. I can still convert from metric to imperial. So yeah, we're doing these. We're doing 12 by 12s and 12 by 14s. So you'd have a 2-inch overlap. So if you've got a block like that, and then you're doing a layer, you'd start with one 12 by 14, and then 12 by 12, 12 by 12, 12 by 12, and then the next layer you'd start with a 12 by 12, and then go across and end up with a 12 by 14. You know what I mean? So you're getting a step overlap, and then you just keep going up and whatever length you want, and then we'd glue and screw. So we started up. We put basically the block together, and countersunk and drilled, screwed all these blocks together without glue. Then we basically put a big template on the side, roughed the whole thing out, and you would have loved it, Chris. It's just ice blocks, basically, big long ice blocks. So we did exactly the same as you'd build something in ice.
And how did you get it back together at the end? So you're saying that you put it together with timber locks and then roughed it out. Now, do you take them apart afterwards, or what happened?
Yeah, then we marked all the pieces. So this was only roughed out. So we marked all the pieces, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, and the numbers, corresponding numbers. Then we pulled the thing apart, took out a lot of the center sections of these big logs, or these big posts, I should say, just to take a lot of the weight out of it, and a lot of the tension, and let it being thinner, it could dry quicker. So yeah, I mean, this big Megafauna Wombat's got, a bit of a time capsule in there. Jeff and I just put all our gloves and, glue bottles and wrote in it, international superstars, blah, blah, blah.
That's wicked, dude.
And
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so there's a little time capsule in there. And then we started, from the bottom and started gluing and screwing, doweling the whole shooting match, filling up all the, because we're countersinking in, some of them maybe 4 inches. So when you say detail.
Sorry to interrupt, but when you say countersinking, what does that mean? Just because I don't know.
You're taking an auger bit and you're drilling it. Like if your posts say, 12 by 12, and you want to be down at the toe of that post, so you're drilling through with a big long auger, so you don't need to put a 14-inch timber lock in there. You can use a 4-inch.
So what do you do then afterwards when you've got it? So okay, so you've explained that. Now how do you what are you doing to
fill that with a dowel.
How do you make it so it doesn't look like it's been countersunk? What's your
you just put a dowel in that hole.
Do you make the dowels from the same log that you're doing, or?
No. I mean, I could sit there and get cypress turned up, but it makes no difference. It's a light coloured timber, so the Australian hardwood dowels that we're using, it makes no difference for like an
so you're countersinking. You're taking a drill, you're doing it at say a 1/2 inch, and then you get a 1/2 inch dowel, you jam it in there after it's. And do you leave the screw in there? Like, how do you not hit screws?
That's why we were going so deep in there, because we'd roughed it out. We knew we were not going to go in any further than say 4 or 6 inches or whatever. So that's why we countersunk them. Because you don't want screw heads anywhere. I mean, we hit some screws, don't you worry.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you're trying to prevent any contact with the screws and your chains. So you've glued it, screwed it. You put your dowels in. You glue your dowels in, and then you let everything go off, and then all the glue go off, and then you come in the next day and you can start doing all your detail and final trim ups and whatever.
Cool.
Hey, speaking of competition, like back in the day, I remember meeting up with you. I think we were at the U.S. Open.
Mhm.
You were doing, I think it was a wolf. Is that right? Anyway,
That
that's
was
wolf.
terrible.
Wasn't a point, but I mean, it was wildlife, and I see wildlife now. But right there in the middle there somewhere, I can't remember. I think it was, say, like 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. You went off and you were doing these like giant transformers or something like that. What was up with that?
Um, it's not, it wasn't a phase or anything like that. I didn't do a lot of them. I did that
Well,
one at Chetwynd, and
I know Chetwynd, and then I thought I saw a couple in Australia you did, but wasn't that all about the same timeline?
Was that 2016?
I don't remember. I remember it was a few years ago.
No, I
It seemed
think it
like
was
you
a
were
little
doing that.
later than that. It was probably like 2018, I believe.
Yeah,
About
maybe
2 or 3 years
2018
ago.
was the robot. But 2016 I did a piece for ID Software. I did the Revenant from Doom.
Yes, that was
Those-
crazy.
Yeah, I had a
Yes.
lot of fun with that one, man. That was
Now
so
we're
much
talking.
fun. There was so
Well,
much detail in that.
it seemed like that was, it's weird because you have, again, wildlife, but then you hit these very straight lines, very structured piece, and then of course you had the one that I saw in Chetwynd. You had the little bird or whatever it was on the end.
Yeah.
I wasn't there that year, but I remember seeing it, and but it seemed like, I mean, it seemed like you were really into it. I mean, you were really doing it good. So what was what was that like? Like going from so much wildlife to basically going into a Transformer series.
Well, that was purely because I said to my boy Coop, I said, what should I carve in Chetwynd this year? And he had this book, this bedtime story called Robot and Sparrow, and it was this robot, and he befriended this sparrow, and then the sparrow flew away for the winter, and the robot just sat there in the snow waiting for this sparrow to come back. So I thought I'd sort of pep it up a little bit and make it a little bit more menacing, which gave it a little bit more drama and that sort of thing. And I did a Foltz on it. I blew the log apart, and I sat there with, like a whole pile of pieces just laying on the ground. And it, well, you were there in spirit, man. You might not have been there that year, but I carried the torch for you, Chris.
Oh,
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That was awesome, man.
I'm looking at that, and it's interesting. I do this. I've seen a couple of my pieces, and I've had people come up and be like, "Man, where did all that? Did you get 2 logs?" And I'm like, "No," but when I looked at that piece, I honestly like I was looking at that, and I was like, "Where did the gun come from anyway?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of log did you get? You know what I mean?
It was far from the biggest piece. It was far from the biggest log.
I mean, that's great for anybody to look back at those pictures of that piece. It was huge, and to hear that was not the biggest log at the show, it's a great educational piece for people that are going into competition.
We touched on something that actually I got interested in. I think that people might be also interested in. You did the Doom piece. So when you were commissioned by Doom, that's not EA Sports, is it? No.
No, ID Software.
So when you get a commission that is something so corporate, like, I mean, what's it like? What's it like to kind of have a commission with someone who's like, you're dealing with one of the biggest video games in the world? Like, how do you adapt to that pressure? How is it when you're going to negotiations? I mean, I have so many questions about how you deal with something like that. Like, what, just to start it off, how did that happen? And then in my next follow-up question is, how was it dealing with a big corporation? Because I'm sure a lot of carvers want to know what it's like to kind of make the jump from selling a bear on the side of the road to working with corporations.
Oh, look, I don't think it's any different, whether it's a corporation or a someone's grandma coming up and going, "Oh, I like that bear." It's you just got to be professional, be honest, and give them the best piece for what they want to spend. I when they contacted me, I just sort of said, okay, well, that's what you want. Give me some reference pictures. And that's it. They sent those through, which was, I just looked at the pictures and went, oh, man, this is just going to be so much fun. I've got to get this job. But it wasn't, you don't sit there and, when a corporation or something like that, you don't go, oh, cha-ching, okay, I can squeeze more money out of them. It's just, it's no different to any other client, I think.
That's good. You know what? I think that's really good, because that's something that for myself, and I know Chris and I have talked about this too, is that, like when I personally try to do the same thing, like I've had a few corporation carvings, but at the same time for me, I never try to change my carvings. Like I tell everybody kind of, you can get $100 bear, you can get $100,000 bear. What's going to work for you? That is my go-to saying. I say that to every single person that I go into negotiations with.
So you just got to, take each job as it comes and try and do it to your best, quote it as accurately as you can.
I got a couple sons at home, and I know you have one boy at home, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so are you guys working together? I mean, are you guys doing anything together as far as with the artwork? Is he picking it up at all, or are you?
Yeah, look, Coop's 9 now.
He's 9 now?
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God.
He was little when you were here last.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, he was just hammering me. Dad, when can I do my first chainsaw carving? When can I do my first chainsaw carving? And I'm like, yeah, look, I think maybe when you're about 10, mate. And he's like, oh, how long's that? And I said, you got 3 more years. It won't take long. It'll go past pretty quick. Yeah, well, I buckled under the pressure and yeah. So I basically put I got him cutting just little like 2x4s and that sort of stuff in a jaw horse, and like totally assisted, helping him. I basically held the weight of the saw and he was zipping through. And
what did he carve? What was his first carving?
I said to him, okay, mate, we do your first carving. He was 7. I said, we'll do your first carving.
You really waited till 10.
Yeah. Like I said, I buckled under the pressure. But yeah, so he's got his earmuffs and his safety glasses, and Bob King was here, and he left behind a pair of, those 3/4 Echo chaps.
Yeah.
So he had those, like, and
were they around his shoulders?
No. We rolled up the waistband a heap of times, and then so they it was cool as, man.
That's awesome.
So he's all set up, and I said, so what do you want to carve? And he said, I want to carve a peanut. I said, a peanut, because that's like the catchphrase at school, you're a peanut. No, you're a peanut. Oh, you're a peanut, So it was just one of those silly things. And I said, okay, a peanut. He said, yeah, but it's got to be a confused peanut called Stephen. And I'm like, where does he get this stuff from? Right?
Great, man.
So
that's awesome.
I'll send you a picture of the carving.
Please do. We
actually
will post
did a little time lapse of it. It was cool as, man. So,
this brings up a really good question that I get a lot, because I have a son that carves also. And question, like, what do you think is the age? What's the safe age there? What do you start out with?
It's so subjective, Chris. Like people would be going, we're going to call, Department of Child Services on you because you put a chainsaw in your son's hands. And it's like, whoa. Like this is a battery saw. It's in my hands. He's holding on to it. I'm holding the weight. I was pretty proud of my boy because I basically held the weight and he did the carving. It was awesome. He'd been watching me over the years, and toy chainsaws on my carvings. He's sitting there and just watching him turn them upside down and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I digress. Safe age it depends on the kid. It really does. I mean, if you've got some kid who's just goes whacking kids with sticks and that sort of stuff, and it doesn't have a brain in their head and like, or if you've got someone who's really dialed in, and I'm not, blowing my own trumpet, but Coop's pretty switched on. I'm gonna have to do a DNA test because he doesn't get it from me. And
I mean, I'll toot your horn, Robby. You're one of the best carvers in the entire world that I know. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Whatever.
you can be bashful all you want. There's very few carvers as talented as you are. So, I think that it's very awesome that he is doing it. And I mean, I love Coop. He is full on, man. He is such a funny little dude. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I don't care. Soph's 3 years old. She's got her own chainsaw already. So whatever. So you've been surrounded by art your whole life. I mean,
look, pretty much like, there was always,
I mean, to each their own with art, but I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
it's no surprise that you picked up a chainsaw and you become one of the top sculptors in the world. And now you have Coop, who is going to be probably one of the top carvers in the world in the next few years, if he is to be as keen as he is. I mean, you look at a guy like Bowser, Sam Bowser. I don't know if you guys follow him.
I've seen some of Sam's work, and
I had the pleasure of staying with the Bowsers after Carbridge about 5 years ago, and I stayed with the family. And I mean, it's really cool to see. And we talk about like age for chainsaws. Sam was just a pup back then, and he was like, so keen to carve. He was like ready to rock, and now he is just flying. And just like Tommy Craig's son, if Thomas actually started carving, the freaking kid would be unreal. He would be unreal. And then we've got Chris's kid, Baby Angel. I mean, Porter. I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say, but Porter he's just taking onto it too. And I mean, I follow him on Instagram, and he is carving. And to be honest, I have one of his pieces that he threw away that is my favorite piece that I have. Any carving I have this droopy little duck that he did, and I don't know what it is, but to me, I will keep the carving for my whole life. I love it more than any carving I have.
Yeah, I mean, like, Porter was awesome. Like, where was it? Reedsport? Ocean Shores? Which one was it?
Ocean Shores. Well, we were at both. We were at both, but Ocean Shores is where he did his first like on his own as a pro carver, doing his own thing. Ocean Shores, and in the middle of that
was he in the pros?
No.
Well, no, because he was in semi-pros. He was in semi-pros in Reedsport, and then he was going to share a site with me in Ocean Shores, and we ended up with enough space to just break him off into his own space, and then he just did his own thing. In fact, I think I got 1 or 2 questions from him a day, and that was it.
That was wild. It was so cool to see, the next generation kicking in. But what's the Baby Angel thing? Why did you give your son that terrible name?
I did not give him that terrible name. It's a beautiful name, and he earned that name himself. I think either Ryan could tell that story, or we could get him in here to talk about it himself.
I mean, I could tell you the story, but he'll tell it better than me. He always gets mad at me when I tell the story because it's always fabricated.
Bring that boy in.
Oh, is he coming in?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so
here he is. Hey, boy.
Look at this guy.
Hey, yeah, Porter.
Step back a bit. You're so bright.
What
there
time
you
is
go.
it at your place, Robby?
It is 3:42 p.m.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tell you a story. So basically, my dad and we were at Ryan's house eating dinner with his wife and Sophia, his daughter, and they were talking. Well, actually, Sophia was asleep, so they were talking about how his wife had to leave pretty early in the morning, but she didn't want to wake up the baby angel. So I was sleeping on the couch right next to the alarm. So I go, well, actually, I can sleep through quite a bit. thinking they were talking about they don't want to wake me up, but they were talking about their baby angel, actually. So that's how I earned the nickname of Baby Angel.
Oh, God.
Priceless.
It was pretty much one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life because we've been
Yeah.
calling Sophie the baby angel the whole time. And
So,
then,
yeah, I crowned that nickname for sure.
yeah, he's sleeping. He's literally wrapped up in a blanket. And he's like, don't worry. You won't wake me up. I sleep through everything. And Brianna was like, I'm talking about Sophie. And I was like, oh, baby angel.
So I don't think I've ever heard Ryan call me Porter since then.
I don't think I ever will. I feel I'm a
And
little
that's-
nervous that
that's
you
the
might be
last
the
time
baby
you're gonna
angel
hear me call you
forever.
Porter.
What's up?
I said that's the last time you're going to hear me call you Porter too, baby angel.
I'm a little nervous if we actually post this.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting till like Reed Sport next year, and instead of Porter Foltz semi-pro, it's gonna be Baby Angel semi-pro.
You were on TV here last night too.
I was on TV?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah, they played 2012 again.
Yeah.
Dude,
Got
look at that!
half a line in that. Whoa, dude. What is that line again? I don't even remember. No, that's, whoa, dude, can we smoke weed in here? That's 90210. Whoa, dude, look at that. Yeah, that was 2012.
That was awesome.
That's my acting career.
I remember when so the same night actually that I got crowned Baby Angel, Ryan goes,
Oh no.
It's frozen.
He fucking froze. Oh good, because he was probably bad. Porter, whatever you just
What's up?
said, you just froze. So the punchline, you have to redeliver the whole thing and have no worries because nobody heard
So
it.
you started off with the night I got crowned baby angel. I don't know if that was a crown. I think it's more like a kick me sticker on your back.
And then you're like, Ryan said, and I was just like, to Robby, I'm like, whew, thank God, because I don't know what I said that night.
funny stuff. Anyways, Ryan said that he wanted to watch the movie that he was starring in. So, starring in. Okay?
Oh,
He
yeah,
has
yeah,
one
okay.
line in the whole movie. But it was definitely worth the 2-hour movie to see him.
I mean, I'm in it the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but he still played the whole movie, I think. He was like, I think I have one more line. I'm not sure. Like, come on.
Oh, listen to you.
You just wanted to see his name in the credits.
Now he's actually making me redder than I am on fucking camera right now.
Oh,
All right, well,
All
let's
right,
get talking
Porter.
to you guys. I gotta get some schoolwork done.
That a boy. That's what we like to
Yeah.
see.
yeah. Like a
You're
baby
such
angel.
A baby angel. Give it up for the baby angel.
Yeah.
I love Porter so
Baby
much.
Angel strikes again.
I mean, I don't even know how we can continue going after this because I think we've talked about everything.
What were we talking? How did that come into that?
I don't know, but you know
Oh, we were
what?
talking about kids, the next generation of carvers, and
Man, baby angel is the best. Robby, I don't know if we can really even top or get back into anything other
no,
than
no. He
what
stole
we've
the show,
just
dude.
gone through. We've talked
He
about
stole the
so
show.
much. You've said it all. And I can't thank you enough for coming on here and, you know, just having a conversation because really it was really awesome to just kind of get to know you and really kind of learn a bunch of stuff. I learned so, man, dude, you're the man. I love you so much for coming on here. You're one of my best pals, and having Foltz on here, the three of us, I'm sure it's just like, I don't know. I don't care if anybody watches this or enjoys it or whatever, but for me, it's awesome because seeing you and
Well,
seeing
it was
Foltz
cool to
is
hang
the
out.
best.
Seems I can't get over there this year, and yeah, it was just cool to catch up with you guys. Anyway,
When are you coming back over here, Robby?
As soon as I can.
Yeah.
No shit. Maybe next year.
I'd like to head over. Well, hopefully September. Block Bash is going on, so sounds like I might have another invite to that if it goes. So yeah, and it's just awesome to hang out with Emmons and Cindy and that whole crew. And
man, it's just my favorite thing to do in the summer is travel, man. I just love it,
dude. The shows are the bread and butter, and I can't even imagine like the amount of other carvers who are struggling to even make ends meet, because like for myself, like, oh dude, but it's no show carving money. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Show carving money is like a whole different animal, and anyone who wants to do shows and wants to be a show carver, get ready for a lot of travel. Everybody thinks it's easy, but it's a lot of travel and a lot of hard work. But not having it is tough. But I'm glad you got it, Chris and Robby. Thank you for coming on, man. I love you so much, dude. And Foltz, you are
great to see you, Robby.
Yeah, likewise, man.
You guys are fucking awesome, man. Robby Bast, before we let you go, please tell me, where can everybody find you to go? Do you have anything you want to plug? What do we got?
Yeah, just website, Rob Bast Sculptor, with the W's in front and the .com.au at the end. On Facebook, which I don't really do a lot of. Instagram, you'll see me on that.
There's still a lot of great photos. There's still a lot of great photos. So what are the URLs?
I don't know.
Rob Bast Sculptor? What is it?
Yeah. If you just Google Rob Bast Sculptor or put that in the search, you'll find me.
Perfect. So, and Chris, as always, what do we got for you? You're Divine.
As always,
tell me.
Yeah, Facebook, go to Divine Sculptures, Instagram, check out Chef Chainsaw.
Nice. Okay, guys, and I'm Ryan Cook. You can look me up at Saw Valley or Ryan Cook Chainsaw. Same thing for Robby. It doesn't even matter. I don't care. More about Robby Bast. Everybody, thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you guys are champions and love carving. And